Welcome to our open book. Very good to be with you in Newsy Times. Hmm. Oh, did I mislabeling it? Oh, well. I beg your pardon. Hi there, Mr. Dickens, Lori Turney, Karen Smith. See what happens when I'm on my own? Hi there, Marianne. Hi there, Asar O'Brien. Did I not label it? Well, maybe when IRT. So it's September 25, and I was reminded that's just about when Jim Bouton, in his classic baseball diary, and as I say, baseball diary, I'm reminded our late friend David Halberstam said, a book deep in the American vein, so deep, in fact, it is by no means a sports book. And that's true. Ball 4. So I'm going to open to the page with today's date, September 25th. I believe this was the 1969 baseball season. But I'm going to begin with his entry from the evening of September 24, because they have just landed in Cincinnati. Baseball player description of Cincinnati, and I say this with love and regard to our friends in Cincinnati. Quote, horseshit park, horseshit clubhouse, horseshit hotel, lots of movies, nice places to eat after the game, tough town. Jim Bouton writes, we had to wait for an hour and a half at the airport because there were no taxis and our bus didn't arrive on time. It was 3 a.m. That's no excuse. And do you know that all you can hear at the Cincinnati airport at 3 a.m. are crickets? Goddamn crickets, he says. While we were standing there, Larry Dierker, a great pitcher, starting pitcher, said, this city isn't completely a lost cause. Look, they've got one of those computer IQ games. So we walked over, dropped a couple of quarters in, and discovered the machine was broken. Next day today, September 25th, I got into my 70th ball game tonight. We were ahead 3-1 in the 7th, and I got in and called with 2 runners on first and second. Pete Rose up. Pete Rose. Real clutch situation. I throw 2 knuckleballs for balls. Edwards, that was John Edwards, Bouton's catcher, calls for a fastball, and I shake him off. Rose is just going to rip my fastball. I know it. So I throw a knuckleball for a strike, another knuckleball for a foul ball, and a third for strike 3, and I strut off the mound. Then we have a long inning, and I hate it. I feel like I ought to go down to the bullpen and get some throwing in. I'm not throwing my super knuckler. Sure enough, I go out there and gave up 3 straight singles. They don't splash me against the fences, but they hit sharp grounders. So Harry Walker, their manager, takes me out and says, well, you can't get them all the time. Jim Bouton says, believe me, I know. Fred Gladding came in, stopped him cold, and we won. He's been having his problems for the last month or so, but tonight we all called him Ace. After the game, Pete Rose told a reporter that he never expected a knuckleball on 2-0. Jim Bouton says, I think I'm wising up. September 26. Yes, the Guardians are first place. He says, Norm Miller, another pitcher who's married an Italian girl, says he likes the idea of the bar mitzvah. He said he didn't have one. His brother did, and Norm was jealous. A bar mitzvah, he said, is like signing for a bonus. Jim Bouton says, I look like Tom Thumb on my first pitch in the game tonight. Tony Perez hit a knuckleball over Norm Miller's head, and Norm could have caught it if he'd climbed over the fence and ran across the street. The fact that I struck out the next 2 guys didn't ease the pain. It was a painful evening all around, especially for Jack Billingham. He and Dierker were scheduled to pitch the doubleheader. And I asked Jim Owens which game he was pitching. You pitch against Maloney, Owens told him. But he's their best pitcher, Billingham said, figuring the honor should go to Dierker. I know, Owen said. That's why you're pitching against him. The idea is to win 3 more games and finish over 500. So you throw Billingham up as a sacrifice to Maloney, a guy you've got to figure on shutting out to beat and let Dierker win his game. Sure enough, Maloney beat Billingham 3-0 with a one-hitter. We got 3 runs for Dierker in the second game. Unfortunately, they scored 4. We lost 4-3. Nice doubleheader. We were kidding in the bullpen about how many greenies, these are so-called energy pills, the Reds must have been taking during the pennant race, and just then there was a ball hit into short right that Pete Rose made a great diving run at and caught on a short hop. 5 more milligrams, you'd have it, Tom Griffin said. I love this story coming up. This time of year, unless you're in a pennant race, what you really think about most is going home. So the story was told in the bullpen about umpire Ed Runge and Frank Larry, pitcher. It was the last game of the season, probably 1960. And Frank Larry had booked a 3:00 flight, although it was a 2:00 game. Of course, he wasn't scheduled to pitch. Right before the game started, Larry said to Runge, "Hey, Ed, I've got a 3:00 plane to catch home. See what you can do about getting me out of this ball game." Runge said he would. On the first pitch of the game, Runge calls a strike, and Larry, standing on the top step of the dugout, yells, "Hey, Runge, what the hell kind of call is that? Are you trying to make a quick getaway or something?" Runge points his finger at him and says, "You're out of the game." "Thanks," Larry said, and he left. September 27th. We had the pleasure today of knocking the Reds out of the race. We beat them 4-3. They were mathematically eliminated. It's tough. Newspaper guy here wrote that Houston always knocks off Cincinnati and then rolls over and plays dead for Atlanta. Silly, of course. We try to win all of our games. But against some teams, trying isn't enough. Instead of our usual running in the outfield, we were running pass patterns. Jim Owens at quarterback against pass defenders. The idea was to see who could work the most intricate patterns, who could fake who out of whose jockstrap. Harry Walker, their manager, made a stop. "I hate to spoil your fun, boys," he said, "but we better knock it off. For Christ's sakes, if Larry Dierker gets hurt, we're all out of a job." Harry was right. There is a pecking order in the major leagues, which goes like this: owner, general manager, superstar, manager, established player, coaches, traveling secretary, trainer, clubhouse man, marginal player. That's Harry, the manager, down there under superstar Dierker. Usually I'm there under the clubhouse man. I was warming up late in the ballgame when Jim Owens, the pitching coach for Houston, Jim's team, came out and said, "It doesn't look like it's breaking real good." "No, it isn't," I said. "Okay," he said, "I'll get up gladding." Now this makes sense. I tried to get the idea across in Seattle. There should be some sort of relationship between how good a guy looks in the bullpen and how he does on the mound. Really Klaatu forever. Mine is signed here by Jim Bouton. Man, smoke him on the inside. That's what one of his managers used to tell him all the time. Smoke him on the inside. Except for the knuckleball. If I haven't got it in the bullpen, I'm not going to have it when I get out on the mound. Yeah, isn't that? Dead check. With 4 games left in the season, I suppose at the end of the season, they'll hand out chastity belts for us to use at home over the winter. September 28th. Although we lost again, I was lighthearted as I set off to spend the day with my family on the way out to Los Angeles for the final series of the season. No bed check tonight. Suddenly I thought, suppose somebody told Johnny Sane, he was pitching coach at the Yankees, to conduct a bed check. He'd tell them to take their phone and stick it up their receivers. September 30th. Jim Bouton writes, when I landed at Los Angeles after flying in from Michigan, I promptly took the limousine from Anaheim. Got out at the Grand Hotel and couldn't figure out why none of the guys were around the lobby, and suddenly there was a little click in my head. The Houston Astros do not play the Los Angeles Angels. They play the Dodgers. This is when Houston was in the National League. So I took a taxi cab to Chavez Ravine and barely got there in time for batting practice. The whole thing cost me $17, a lot of money in those days, and some nasty comments from my teammates about the size of my brain. We beat the Dodgers and now have an 81-79 record with 2 games to go. Can't go below 500, and if we beat them twice, we'll tie them for 4th. This season could have been worse. October 1, we played bocce with my iron ball. Some pitchers have to iron ball, work out their arms during the game. And stickball, I beat Durker in a word game, which I considered an accomplishment. The kid has a hell of a vocabulary. The most interesting part of the baseball game came when Norm Miller threw his helmet in the dugout and it bounced up and hit Hector Torres in the eye, and Harry fined Miller $50 on the spot. The next time up, Norm hit a home run. Johnny Edwards, who was a bullpen catcher, asked me if I planned to bring my family to spring training. I said, sure, why? If you don't, you have to stay in the barracks, and they padlock the doors at midnight, he said. If you don't make it in, you have to pound on the door, and that's the way they catch you out after curfew. Last day of the season, and I'm looking forward to being home again. It's convenient to travel with the ball club. Your suitcases are picked up at the hotel, your equipment at the ballpark. You never see anything again until you get to the next hotel, the next ballpark. On the last day, you carry your own suitcase and you carry your equipment bag, and somehow the weight feels good. On the bus out to the airport, I thought about my season. 73 outings. I graded 52 of them either good or excellent, and for the first time since 1964, I felt no gnawing emptiness at the end of the season, only quiet fulfillment. The cool of the evening. It was good that the season was over. And let's see, spring training should start about February 22nd. I'm just going to read the last 2 paragraphs. Last 3 paragraphs. He writes about the off-season, just a page. And he says, I did not win comeback of the year, but I went to a local sports banquet the other night and took a bow from the audience. As I watched the trophies being handed out, my mind wandered and I saw myself being called up to the dais and accepting the Fireman of the Year award for 1970. And then I thought of Jim O'Toole, a former pitcher, and felt both strange and sad. When I took the cab to the airport in Cincinnati, I got into a conversation with the driver, and he said he'd played ball that summer against Jim O'Toole. He said O'Toole was pitching for the Ross Eversoles in the Kentucky Industrial League. He said O'Toole is all washed up. He doesn't have his fastball anymore, but his control seems better than when he was with Cincinnati. I had to laugh at that. O'Toole won't be trying to sneak one over the corner on Willie Mays in the Kentucky Industrial League. Jim Bouton ends this great book by saying, Jim O'Toole and I started out even in the spring. He wound up with the Ross Eversoles, and I wound up with a new lease on life. And as I daydreamed of being fireman of the year in 1970, I wondered what the dreams of Jim O'Toole might be like these days. Then I thought, would I ever do that when it's over for me? Would I be hanging on with the Ross Eversoles? I went down deep, and the answer I came up with was yes. Yes, I would. You see, you spent a good piece of your life gripping a baseball. And in the end, it turns out that it was the other way around all the time. My gosh, isn't that a great ending? It was the other way around all the time. Jim Bouton, Ball 4. So thanks very much for being with us. On our open book. Oh, SR, I love that idea. Sorry for not labeling it correctly. I'll try and take care of that in the RT on X. So thank you for being with us. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing a promo for the important show we have coming up. And lots of stuff in the news, obviously. We'll be there for all of it. But also for some fun. Interviewed Janice Hallett today. Very clever novel. Crime British novel. The Killer Question. The answer is murder. The question, who done it? You know, also, Elise, I'm not sure. I'll have to check in. I'll say, oh, Mark Kemble, you're in Salisbury. Well, pub quiz tonight? Yes, it's a little late there. Thanks very much for being with us. See you later. Bye-bye.